women can be more cunning and more manipulative when it comes to woman scorn. I mean that's a thing. It's a thing because it's a thing. Like where I call a thing, and I call things what they are. Women are known for being more cunning, more spiteful. Spiteful is a term that's addressed and given to women when it comes to being hurt in relationships. Men aren't necessarily known to be spiteful. Like we were talking about, or like you guys were talking about earlier, that men will kind of just be like, ah, whatever, I'm not even about to go through I'm not going through the circles. Not that they can't do it, right? It's not that, I mean, men are more green, if you know about emergenetics, green and blue, right? They're more uh, calculated, black and white, organized, right? So if a man wanted to be that way, when it comes to genders, women are more yellow and red on the emergenetics.
I want to know what
No,
your position is.
no, I agree with everything what was being said. For the most part.
From who?
Um,
We have
oh
two
well,
completely different sides.
okay. Well, I know everyone is agreeing that this situation does take place, right? People are talking about whether, no matter what gender it is, people are taking each other to the bank. That's number one. Everybody knows someone personally who's been taken advantage of in death or in divorce when it comes to spouses and money. And I really learned something because I did listen to the clip earlier that you guys played. I didn't know that you would have to go through all those different entities, like Darwin was saying. Um, on top of the decree, having to go into all these different lanes that Marcus was saying, like I wouldn't even know where to start. I'm married. I mean, we're tied. But at the same time, I a, a little bit kind of what Marcus said earlier, and this is why I'm married to someone he knows, is because I always said, like, if me and my husband didn't work out, like I still love him as a person, and I wouldn't try to like ruin his life or make his life hard, right? And that was even before we had kids. So now it's even deeper now that he's the father of my children. But even before we had kids, I chose a person that at the end of the day that I didn't hate, that I didn't want to see suffer, that I didn't want to fight with, whether it ended bad or whatever. I said when I got married, if my husband got in a car accident the next day and was bedridden for the rest of his life, that I would gladly take care of him and wash him and feed him and clothe him and take care of him. That was something I thought about before I took my vows. So I think no matter what, and that was 16 years ago. No matter what, with going through hard things, you kind of have to think about um, what and how people can change. And I know everybody has an argument that when money comes into play, people do change. I definitely understand that because I've seen that. I've seen people be decent people on the surface and then turn into be monsters on through death, especially with death, because that's essentially what he was talking about, the death situation, right? They weren't fighting in an act of divorce, they were already divorced and were fighting after death. I think people can really be different. Siblings don't talk to each other, like y'all were saying earlier as well, like Chanel was talking about. But I do think going to I mean, y'all are peeling back onions with this conversation. When it comes to women and men, when you go to the gender side of things, I have to agree with whoever is saying, I think it's Ruth Clout Marcus, that died, that women can be more cunning and more manipulative when it comes to woman scorn. I mean, that's a thing. It's a thing because it's a thing. Like where I call a thing, and I call things what they are. Women are known for being more cunning, more spiteful. Spiteful is a term that's addressed and given to women when it comes to being hurt in relationships. Men aren't necessarily known to be spiteful. like we were talking about, or like you guys were talking about earlier, that men will kind of just be like, whatever, I'm not even about to go through I'm not going through the circles. Not that they can't do it, right? It's not that, I mean, men are more green, if you know about emergenetics, green and blue, right? They're more calculated, black and white, organized, right? So if a man wanted to be that way, when it comes to genders, women are more yellow and red on the emergenetics, right? We're more creative and loving and feeling and emotional. We're all of those things, and we act on emotion. We're fiery. We are all of those things that comes with emotion, and men can be more methodical. But when it comes to a woman feeling slighted, especially when it comes to a relationship, when it comes to a man, and then you add children in there, then a woman can be a woman scorned. And like the movie Alimony, Tyler Perry, that's a real thing. That's not made up. That's because that's in us as women. That is in us. And so I feel that, and I agree on that point. I'll wrap it there.
Welcome back, Casey. Yeah, so it's just.
Go ahead.
But
I'm gonna give it to you right after this. Pause. I know you had something to say. You were waiting for a second. Go ahead.
Nah, I just agree with everything she just said. It's just look, I had something to say, but all I got to say is I agree with everything she just said. And overall, we could easily say, oh, it almost sounds like if you disagree, you kind of doing what Miss Taken was saying that we shouldn't do. You shouldn't say, oh, well, men do it too, so let's not hold the women, the women who are doing it accountable, if that makes any sense.
Go ahead, Darwin.
No, I was gonna say, now that we gotta understand it. Some people still trying to fight data and statistics and anecdotal theories and stuff. But now that we kind of understand what the hell is going on, I think before moving this topic, even though I know how y'all line topics up on this network, I think it's important to try to figure out, okay, how do men or women protect themselves in these situations?
Educate themselves.
That was a question.
So you can.
I didn't hear the question.
We so
yes,
used to attack each other. We can't.
How do men and women protect themselves? So I can give you an actual solution. It's a thing called a financial lock and digital will and trust. So you can compile all of your financial data in one place, and just be sure that when you update everything within that compilation. So just try and be organized as far as where you keep all your assets and anything that could be willed to somebody else, so you can update them as necessary. A lot of times people would find safes. If they were going to have physical copies back in the day, that would be fireproof, so if the house burned down, they still can get that, and all of that would be intact. But now we have like some credit repair agencies offer it, so they digitize and keep a living will, a living trust record in one specific spot, so you can always access that and update it as necessary. But you're gonna have to go line item by line item.
So in this scenario, it's mainly given the video and the topic of someone passing away and they're not able to give who rightfully deserve their inheritance because somebody got a clerical issue or unaddressed paperwork. So it's also important to check when you get divorced. Check over your paperwork. I can understand the paperwork or like ownership of assets or shared ownership of certain assets, but when it comes to like sort of what Casey reapproached, that we never really answered that. I don't know why we didn't. I think that's very important. We never really answered the question about how the fuck does me getting divorced not get filed in a state database to where they know that, hey, look, this dude is divorced. The fact that I got to go and let somebody, like, who the hell do you go notify?
Social Security Administration. But I mean, it's trash, and
when it's time to pay them goddamn taxes, I bet. Nah, I ain't gonna
it's interesting. Like when I got my divorce, like I got the divorce decree that day, and I went straight to the Social Security office. But it was because I wanted to get my name changed that day. So I left the courthouse, went straight to Social Security office, and then went straight to the DMV and got all my names changed. So I guess the Social Security office knew, because you got to tell them why you you
But
know, changing your.
Chanel, think about the women. You didn't have children. Think about the women who are not rushing to change their name because they want the same name as their children with their husband, right? So there's women who are going to keep their name. So those women are not running to the Social Security office. I've never even heard this before. I've never heard it before. But I guess, I mean, I only know a couple people that are like divorced, but they're not like close. So I guess I wouldn't really know that detail from personal, but yeah, if of course, if you don't have any children, change back to your maiden name ASAP. But like if you have children, you probably want, if there's not an issue with between the couple of the ex-wife keeping that same last name with to be as the same as the children, then you would want to just keep your married name instead of going back to your maiden name. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Women, do y'all feel the same? Like, I don't think I would want to be picking my kids up and they're like, who are you, Mrs. No. You know what I'm saying? My children have my husband's name and I have a different. I wouldn't want that. Right. Especially if I birthed them within my marriage.